Coffee time? Yes. Good morning, everybody. I think it's time for coffee. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Coffee beans roasting by an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Though it's been said many times, many ways, good morning, coffee lovers. How you doing this morning? Oh, man. Welcome to Coffee with Todd. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got a really, really cool show for you today. I'm so excited. I have a special guest here on the show today, Rebecca Loebe, singer-songwriter from Austin, Texas. You may remember her from season 1 of This Is the Voice. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, she'll be joining us in just a few minutes. So we've got a lot of cool stuff at Coffee with Todd this morning. So get yourself a cup of coffee. Take a sip with me. Ready? Now that's how you start Sunday mornings. Coffee with Todd starts in just un momento. Okay, so we're here at Maple Hill Farm, and they have a snowflake that they hide in the tree, and if you find it, you win a cool prize. They've asked us to hide it. You ready to hide it? We gotta be careful though, because there are people around here, and we don't want them to know where we're hiding it. Ready? And I go, all right. See if you can find it at Maple Hill Farms. All right, so yeah, my mic wasn't on. That's live for you. I was wondering if I could rewind the space-time continuum and go back. So what I said before I went to that video clip was we were at Maple Hill Farm yesterday, and we got our Christmas tree, and I hid the snowflake in that tree in an undisclosed location. And if you find the snowflake, you get some maple crumbles. Yeah. So, live. One of these days, I'll remember to turn my mic on after the intro. I highly recommend getting a Christmas tree at Maple Hill Farm. They're very helpful. They'll put it in a netting for you so it can fit in the back of your vehicle. In our case, it was a Nissan Juke. They'll cut a tree for you. They got sleds so you can pull them through. There's actually snow on the ground today, so the sleds will be very festive. If you want a clue as to where that Christmas tree is hiding, not the Christmas tree, where that snowflake is hiding, it's in a Christmas tree. There's your hint. All right, on the show this morning, we have Rebecca Loebe. She's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. I'm going to sing a little song. And then we're going to bring her on. I'm so excited. Rebecca was a contestant on season 1 of The Voice. Since then, she has traveled all around the United States and Europe and Canada and beyond singing, and you'll see why, because she has an absolutely fantastic, amazing voice. Oh, Susan says, thank you for the Christmas mantle, Danielle. The Christmas mantle. You haven't had enough coffee yet either this morning, have you? Good morning, Joanne. Good morning, Susan, Trisha, Deidre, David. Good morning. Yes, a tie, David. I'm styling today. Got a very special guest. Ryan, good morning. Man. He never carries a Bible, but he likes what it says. You're safe from hell's fire if you just bow your head. Well, always keeping his distance from the suffering below. Those who live in glass houses go to churches made of stone. They sleep in bus stations, the street is their home. Pretends he can't see them, he's not handing out loans. When Sunday comes round, he wipes the sin from his throne. Those who live in glass houses go to churches made of stone. And each night over dinner, he stumbles through grace to a gold-plated Jesus by the fireplace. Buries self-loathing in diamonds and gold. Those who live in glass houses go to churches made glass houses go to churches of stone. His wedding ring sits in a plastic ashtray in a godless motel room where they're moaning his name. Money can buy what you can't get at home. Those who live in glass houses go to churches of stone. Those who live in glass houses go to churches made of stone. All right. That's a song of mine called Sin and Stone. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I think it's time to bring our guest on. I'm very excited for the one and only Rebecca Loebe. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've got your cup of coffee. Oh, your aunt has maple pecan coffee in her cup this morning. We have, I didn't bring it out this morning, but we have wide awake coffee this morning. There's an owl on it that's like this. I think it's Seattle Dark is what we're drinking this morning.
Can you tell Susan I said thank you?
Yes, Susan Danielle says thank you about her Christmas mantle. All right. You may recognize her from season 1 of The Voice, or you may recognize her from touring all over this country. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. She's a troubadour. She is Rebecca Loebe. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning to you.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for coming on my little low budget show.
You have a budget?
No. No, not really. I try, but I luckily already had most of the equipment I needed, so I just have to shuffle everything into the living room and out. So it's like striking the set after every show so we don't trip over stuff.
Yep. I'm familiar with that dance.
Yeah. So for those that are just tuning in and don't know you, this is probably like the dumbest question I ask every guest, but who is Rebecca Loebe?
I've been asking myself my whole life. Rebecca Loebe, singer, songwriter, truth teller. No, Rebecca Loebe is me. I am a touring songwriter. I live in Austin, Texas. Nice. And I've been making a living as a full-time itinerant troubadour for the past 11 years. And then I spent the 5 years before that trying desperately to make it my full-time job. I recently launched a YouTube series all about what goes on behind the scenes in the lives of independent musicians. I got a dog recently. I usually play about 150 shows a year on the road, but this year has been different, obviously, because of COVID. So I've been working just as hard just from my house, doing live streams and writing, recording, producing this YouTube show, and kind of dealing with the business side of running a music business. And I don't know, does that answer the question? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find it, obviously it's different not being on the road. Do you find it's been, aside from COVID and all the craziness, do you find it's been nice to be home more, or do you really wish to be back out?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about how little I miss traveling.
Oh, no.
I mean, I love traveling. I love the road. I miss people. I miss hugs. I miss chatting at the merch table. I miss hanging around after the show to like visit with folks. I miss the friends that I have scattered all over the country, but I don't miss the actual act of being away from my house. I mean, I've never in my adult life spent 8 straight months sleeping in the same bed. Ever.
Yeah. Wow.
I usually drive 40,000 miles a year. I've probably driven 300 miles since March, like to the post office and back. It's just, and I've been really surprised by how my business, and I don't know if it's like this for everyone or all musicians, everyone's different, but my business has pivoted to being an online music business actually pretty smoothly. Between online shows and Patreon and the amazing folks who support me over there, I've been able to kind of just transition from traveling and playing music to sitting in my home studio playing music, and it's been shockingly smooth. I still kind of can't believe it.
And you're saving so much money on oil changes.
On so much. I mean, touring is expensive, There's oil changes and hotels and food and gas and creature comforts on the road and plane tickets. I mean, there's a lot of overhead. I can get by on a lot less from home, which might be one of the reasons why it's working.
I think it's forced a lot of people to kind of reevaluate that, but
absolutely, a lot of friends of mine are moving around. It's like there's just I mean, we're in the eye of a hurricane right now. We're in the middle of this thing. Yeah. So we're not even really going to know what its long-term effects are. It's going to be studied for the rest of our lives, how this event impacted history from this moment on. But just in terms of my life, I'm seeing friends of mine who probably would have spent several more decades in the cities where they were living, who have quietly packed up and left, either because they didn't want to be in a city anymore during this kind of event, or because they couldn't afford to be there anymore, or their job required them to move, or they were evicted, or a million reasons that people are just sort of reshuffling, reallocating, relocating. It's an interesting time.
Yeah, I live like far away from any city. We're up in northern Vermont, and we've seen a lot of people move here. And similar to when 9/11 happened, a lot of people got out of the cities then too. But it seems like more now. I think we're fortunate that the internet lets us be able to do this and work from anywhere virtually. So yeah, I don't know. Our little sleepy town of 5,000 people, it might have grown to 7. I don't know. We'll have to see what the census says. I love the YouTube series, by the way. That was actually something I wanted to bring up. It's fun. It's cool to see like behind the scenes, and I think the first one that I saw was the pedal board.
Oh yeah.
which intrigued me as an acoustic guitarist because I don't have a pedal board. So
I didn't for a long time, and then I was touring with another acoustic guitar player who had a massive pedal board, and he plays a lot. His name's Martin Joseph. He's a singer-songwriter in England. He's from Wales. Yeah. And he'd kill me if he knew I said he was from England. He's not from England. He is from Wales. Welsh is such an interesting language, and my favorite Welsh word is pibbity bing, because pibbity means oven, and it's an old Welsh word for oven. It's probably been around, since there were stone ovens, dug in the ground by the Druids. And then in the 70s, the microwave was invented, and they needed a word for microwave. So rather than make up a whole new word, they just added bing on the end, because that's the sound a microwave made, was bing. So pibbity bing is the word for a microwave in Welsh. Anyhow.
That's amazing.
Joseph, Welsh singer-songwriter, acoustic guitar player. He's fantastic, and he tours prolifically, just him and a guitar. And he has this big pedal board set up, and I was just during sound check one night, I opened 4 or 5 shows for him over there, and I was just kind of looking at his pedal board and asking him, what does that one do? What does that one do? And he's like, well, go get your guitar. And I went and got my guitar and plugged into his pedal board setup, and suddenly the sound was enormous, and it opened up this whole other sort of sonic palette And it was really exciting to, and it makes it, I think, feel a little bit richer and a little bit more full as an acoustic guitar player to command a large space if you're creating space with this additional type of depth. So I'm using reverbs, mostly I'm using reverbs, delays, and compression, although I do also have an EQ on there just so that I can sort of get my EQ out there the way I want it, since I'm not traveling with my own sound tech, obviously, because I also don't have a budget for such things. So, so yeah, that's why I set up my first pedal board, and since then it's just been sort of a labor of love.
That's cool. We met Martin at Falcon Ridge, I guess, 2 years ago. But I didn't notice that he had a big pedal board.
Did you notice that his guitar sounded badass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the trick. Yeah, he was very cool. Well, maybe I'll have to try it. Right now I just have a tuner.
Yeah, and I got by on just a tuner for many years, and honestly, there are pros and cons. Like, I threw my back out last year in the middle of touring, and and then I had to start making decisions about what weight I could jettison from my touring operation, and the pedal board is not an insignificant addition to a traveling apparatus. So, pros and cons.
I don't want to talk about this a lot, but I figure we should probably talk about the voice.
This is the voice. Yeah, bring it. What do you want to know?
Well, I'm sure there are probably people watching this show that recognize you but don't know exactly where they recognize you from, and I assume that it's probably from the voice. I was doing my homework before the interview, and I full disclosure, don't really watch that show all that much.
Yeah. My feelings aren't hurt.
But I think I remember your audition. And I say I think I remember because I don't really remember if I do. I mean, I've seen it on YouTube, but I was working in radio during the time, so we talked about The Voice. Mm-hmm. And I know you sang Come As You Are by Nirvana, which Nirvana's a huge thing for me. But anyway, I said I better do a little bit of research. So I Googled Rebecca Loebe, The Voice, and something came up that you had written a blog post on your website, I don't know how many years ago. And I read that whole thing, and it was fascinating to me because it kind of confirmed what I always thought about how those shows kind of work.
Uh-oh, what did I say?
No, nothing. Nothing bad. You were just talking about how, well, you were on season 1, so it's probably different now, but you were talking about how they had a bunch of paid extras in the audience, and, they made you get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then you didn't go on stage till 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that was a crazy day.
Yeah, it's just interesting. What I found fascinating about it, to me, is they asked you to audition. So you didn't wait in those long lines of people that they show on TV.
At the time that I went on The Voice, I had been it had been 7 years since I'd gone on my first tour, 5 years since I started trying to make a living as a full-time musician, and about 2 years since it had started working for me to make a living as a full-time musician. There was a rough patch in there. I mean, of course, you can't just start. You can't just want to be full-time and have it work immediately.
No,
so
I've been trying.
Rough patch, yeah, where I was working like 17 different odd jobs at the same time, just trying to get my career launched. Yeah. But then at some point in 2009, I went on a long tour, and it just got longer and longer, and I realized after a year that I hadn't had any other work besides being a musician, and that was in 2010. And then at the end of 2010, I got an email inviting me to audition for The Voice, and the email came from my website. And I think it is fairly common for them to host big auditions like you see on TV, and then also to sort of cast the auditions by sending out notices to booking agents and management teams and lawyers and people in the industry saying, hey, if you know anybody particularly good, let us know. However, this was the first season of The Voice in America, so the show had no reputation and didn't have as many of those connections. So I think they were really out there scouring YouTube and the internet and looking for people, and they emailed me from my website. And they actually emailed me from my website, and they had seen me, and also I had a page on my website that was links to my friends. This was 2010, so social media wasn't as big. Right. So I had a list, like, if you like me, you'll probably love these 25 songwriters. Check them out. And it was, my dear friends, Raina Rose and Shannon Wurst and the guys in Porter Davis, and, just on and on, a bunch of friends. Daughtry Bean, trying to remember. But they picked about 10 of those people in addition to me and said, hey, would you be interested in auditioning? We'd also love to get in touch with these folks. Do you know how to reach them? Could you see if they'd be interested too? So if they had just been asking me, I probably would have turned it down. Between a combination of that, like, oh no, this isn't the right fit for me, and fear of rejection, and just sort of general snobbishness, being like, oh, I don't want to go into reality television. I just really didn't think I wanted to do it. Yeah. And at that point, American Idol had been on the air for 8 or 10 years, and I was very, very, very familiar with sweet little old ladies saying, you're so good, you should audition for American Idol. And I had this whole answer prepared, this long spiel where I was like, it started like, oh no, I'm never going to sell out. And then it turned into, well, in order to do a show like that, you have to give up a lot of rights to your original music, and I'm not willing to do that. So that would be sort of my excuse. And then finally, I just started saying, thank you. Because I realized those old ladies are just trying to compliment me, and that's their language for saying, we think you're really good. So instead of explaining why I would never go on the show they liked, I just started saying, thanks, I appreciate the compliment. I'll look into it. Thank you. So I was in the thank you phase with reality TV at that point, but still not at all interested. But anyhow, I didn't want to turn the opportunity down for my friends. So I went to the audition, and about 5 of my friends were interested in going too. So we all went. We got private audition. One by one, we all went through. And after my audition, they asked me to come back the next day. And they invited a couple of my friends back for callbacks too. So I went back the next day, and, I'd done an original song and like a hip hop cover at my first audition and told stories and been just a general goofball. They asked me to come back the next day and do something more singery. So I came back and did like a sort of coffee house type version of a Katy Perry song that was popular at the time. Now this was 2011 now that I was auditioning, because it was the first season. So I think it was Teenage Dream was the song that was popular. And I left the audition, and they said, if we want to have you back, we'll call you in within the next month. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks. I'll bet you say that to all the girls. And I didn't even think about it again. And then 28 days later, my phone rang, and it was a Los Angeles number. And I was like, no, really? No. And I answered, and it was some PA from Los Angeles saying they wanted me to come out for another round of auditions, and they were going to buy me a plane ticket. And I had 4 days to get out there, and that I'd be out there for at least 3 days to audition, but if that went well, I'd stay for the blind audition, and if that went well, I'd stay for the battle round. Now, I had no idea what any of those words meant, but they said I would be out there for at least 3 days, possibly up to 6 weeks. Pack accordingly. And I was like, how do you pack for 3 days, possibly up to 6 weeks?
It's quite a span.
Yeah, quite a span. And I had gigs booked. I had my first tour in Europe booked. The whole thing was pretty mind-blowing. And I talked to some industry friends who said, look, you should just go. I talked to my lawyer, because I was like, they want me to sign this crazy contract, or what if they want me to sign a crazy contract? And she said, look, we got Clay Aiken out of his American Idol deal. We can probably get you out of whatever they have you sign. So I signed the deal, even though it was weird and pretty restrictive, and it turned out fine. I mean, this is not legal advice. Don't listen to me, but that's what I did.
That's amazing.
And I went out there, and I think I was just so sure that I wasn't going to get picked, and that they weren't going to want me, and that it wasn't the right fit, that I just wasn't super stressed about it. I didn't feel like, oh, this is my only chance to make it as a musician. I was already supporting myself as a musician, and I thought, there's no way in hell they're going to put me on this show, so I kind of felt like I didn't have anything to lose. And next thing you know, I did a blind audition, and a couple of chairs turned around, and I ended up on the show through the battle rounds, which was a whole other story and very overwhelming and intimidating, but ultimately fun. And I actually got to perform with a boy from Vermont, Devin Barley. He was a student, I think, at he was living in Burlington and going to school there and singing in an a cappella group and I think he was pre-med. He's actually a doctor now, which is crazy. He was he's a chiropractor now. But anyhow, he and I did our duet together for the battle rounds, and we both sang our asses off. He was the one chosen to move forward. I'm happy for him, and I went home at that point, which is fine. I got to miss being on the live shows, which is fine. They looked really stressful. And then I went home and just hopped right back into my station wagon and went straight back to, my gig as a touring singer-songwriter.
Yeah. Is it sort of a blessing though that because at that point you weren't contractually obligated to them for anything, were you? Other than maybe the songs
for a certain amount of time, but it came and went, and it was mellow. I think that the contracts, changed from show to show and from year to year. Yeah. But I got off really easy as far as contracts are concerned. And also, it was a really important learning experience for me. More in terms of handling, I think, stress and anxiety and judgment. That was my big lesson from the show, was that my 2 performances on stage for that show were so scary, like unreasonably scary. Like if you look at the footage of me singing or listen to it, you can hear my voice shaking, and it sounds like vibrato, but it was actually my whole body shivering. I was so scared, and it's like the consequence is just that you don't get to sing another song on a TV show. It's not like a trap door is going to open in the floor and suck me down to the core of the earth or anything. Like, I was so scared, it didn't make sense how scared I was. And after I got home and I got back out on stage and I was singing in front of people again, I realized it's because that performance for the TV show was so unlike any other kind of performance I'd ever done. It wasn't an audience that had purchased tickets and come out on purpose because they love my music and want to connect with me. It's not like, they value what I create in such a way that they've made it a priority to spend their time and money with me. No, it's like they're there to evaluate whether I'm good enough to proceed. And the judges are there specifically to evaluate me. And there are cameras spinning around that's going to beam me into living rooms full of people who are evaluating me. And there are producers deciding how much more money they want to invest in me as a contestant on this show. The whole thing was about judgment. And that made me super, super nervous. But when I get on stage and I perform for, an audience at Radio Bean in Burlington, Vermont, I'm like, oops, I'm out of focus. Come back, focus.
You've played at Radio Bean?
Oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
So anyhow, when I'm playing shows at singer-songwriter venues, I'm there with an audience who's there because they want to connect over music and love and light and creativity. And even if I mess up, like, that's what makes a live show fun. If they want to hear it perfectly, they can just sit home and listen to Spotify. Right. So, I'm not sure how long it would have taken me to arrive at that level of comfort with live performance if I hadn't sort of walked in and out of the lion's den by being on TV like that. So
wow.
For that, I am grateful.
I bet. I don't know if I could do it. I love performing. I feel extremely comfortable on stage, but I don't think I could sing to the backs of 4 chairs. And
I didn't really know what they were looking for, and I misjudged them early on because I thought, like, I'm just a quirky, rootsy storytelling singer-songwriter. They're not going to want someone like me, especially Christina Aguilera, honestly. I thought she was just going to want big voice melisma singing divas. Right. And she actually wanted to work with like weird, artsy, quirky people really badly. But when I watched the season back, all the weird, artsy, quirky people that she turned around for picked someone else. And all the singers who picked her were the big, badass divas who had, idolized her since childhood. So she did end up with this big team of divas, but she'd been trying to get some like weirder, quirky indie people in there, which is interesting.
Huh. Well, if you recognize Rebecca, that might be where you recognize her from.
It's funny because I still, I was on the show 9 years ago now, and even the last one of the last shows I was playing in Asheville, North Carolina back in March before things shut down, this mother and daughter came up to me and said, "We've been following you ever since you were on The Voice, and this is our first time seeing you play live." And I was like, I have come to Asheville like 25 times since then. Like, where have y'all been? But, life happens. People can't make it out to every show, or apparently the first 24 options that they have. And I'll also be talking to people who like meet me after a show. "Oh, I liked your music, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea, you were on The Voice, yada, yada." I was like, "Yeah, I sang the song Come As You Are by Nirvana." And they were like, "Wait, that was you? I have that on my iPod right now." That still happens too, which is crazy.
I actually found out who you were before I knew you were on The Voice.
How did you find me? I'd be curious to know if that's not too self-indulgent.
No, not at all. Well, Ellis Paul, for one, and Liv Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
Just in conversations in the green room, and came up that way, and then I said, "Well, let's check it out," and that's when I found out you were on The Voice. So I did it the wrong way.
There is no right way.
No, but you also, well, I'm a little floored that you've played at Radio Bean, because it seems to me like that would be not a very lucrative deal for you.
I was actually going to ask if it's still open. It's been a number of years since I played there, but I liked it. It's a cool little spot.
I don't know if COVID has affected it. The last I knew it was open.
I played there in 2009 on the road with my friend Raina Rose.
Yeah.
And that was a really funny show because, we were on a little kamikaze tour, and we booked it ourselves. We were promoting it ourselves. Some nights the places would be packed. Some nights there'd be 3 people there. And that show at Radio Bean was packed, and neither of us really had much of an audience there. And after the show, all these people were like, "Raina, we saw you in the paper. We saw you in the paper." And we get the local arts paper, and there was this picture of Raina from when she was like 19, where she was completely naked and holding her guitar like up in front of her body, but there was like a fair amount of side boob, and she was clearly a beautiful naked lady with a guitar, and they had put it double big on the front page of the arts section of the local paper, and it was like singer-songwriter Raina Rose coming to Radio Bean Wednesday at 8, and that show was packed. And that was just like one of many images you would find if you Googled Raina Rose music at the time.
Oh, man.
But that still cracks me up. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. Sex apparently sells. Who knew?
Yeah, I've always figured that was my big problem. I've played Radio Bean to a packed house before that was 85% my family that live in Burlington, Vermont.
Great.
And then I've returned triumphantly to Radio Bean a few months later to play for the person that went down with me in my car.
Was there just like another family event that night?
There must have been. There must have been.
It's like someone's birthday.
But I do like it. It reminds me of the open mics in Nashville, in East Nashville, back in the day. I haven't been to Nashville in years, but they write your name on the chalkboard 7 to 8 p.m. or whatever, and they give you a free meal, and you play for tips, and you make a lot more when your family shows up, or they put a really nice picture of you in the paper, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to go too long because I want to hear you sing, but I do want to mention that you're a Berkeley alumni.
I am.
So you're familiar with New England quite well.
Yeah, very much. I lived in Boston for 5 years. I went to Berkeley and stuck around for a year afterwards, working as an audio engineer at a recording studio. That's what I got my degree in, was audio engineering. And I had a great experience with that school.
I find that very cool, and when I see like you do a cover on YouTube of a song, it's very evident that you know about mic placement and EQ and stuff, because your covers or your own songs, just you in your living room, sound amazing.
Thank you.
So it's got to be Berkeley, right?
I think it's a lot of things. I think it's Berkeley. I think it's experience. I think part of what I learned, I learned a lot in my tech education about how to do things correctly, but I also learned the value of hiring people who are great at what they do. So for a lot of those covers, I work with people. I have a videographer in Austin who's a dear friend, and we'll get together for the day and set up, cameras and rent really nice microphones, from the local. There's a great rental shop in Austin called Rock and Roll Rentals, and we'll rent really, really good mics and set that all up and then record 4 of those videos. And I change clothes in between each one, so it looks like a different day. Sure. And we, record a bunch of songs in one day, and then every month we'll edit a different one, and he does a professional mix. And I always listen and comment and, give critique and feedback, and I'm pretty picky about, how my reverb sounds and my EQ and compression and all of that. Yeah. But there's some stuff out there that I have engineered, but for the most part, I delegate. So I'm glad that you think it sounds good.
It does. Sounds fantastic. I just watched the Bob Dylan one today.
Thank you.
I sang that song at my father's wedding when he married my stepmother with a blues band. Yeah.
It's a perfect song for weddings, for funerals, for birthdays. I mean, it's a perfect song.
It's Bob Dylan.
We're talking about Forever Young, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to go to Rebecca's social media, and it's on there. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, please come find me on YouTube. I'm really new to YouTube, relatively. I mean, I've had a YouTube channel for 10 years, but I sort of neglected it for 9 years and 10 months of that time. But I'm just starting to upload to it frequently. And the thing that excites me about YouTube specifically is that it is one of the largest musical discovery platforms, and it's owned by the largest search engines in the world.
Sure.
And it's this whole sort of ecosystem on its own. And I think that people, especially when videos are tagged and people are searching for other things, people can discover you on YouTube, and it's a way to get in front of an audience that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily have an opportunity to connect with. So
yeah,
I'm really digging it. But I'm, not too proud to beg. So if anybody watching this wants to check me out on YouTube and maybe consider subscribing to my channel, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, and you also get the people that for probably very good reasons don't have a Facebook page or don't have, running away from social media, even though YouTube, I guess, is technically social media, but it's different.
It's gray. It's gray area. It's kind of a Venn diagram of many different types of things.
Well, what songs would you like to? I hope you would like to sing for us. I do know, that you have a different guitar with you today.
Yes.
We might want to do a public service announcement since we're coming into winter time.
Absolutely. Any acoustic guitar players, come on, camera. Any acoustic guitar players out there who are watching this, put a humidifier in your guitar. I usually do in the winter, but we've had an unseasonably warm, temperate winter in Texas, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then a few days ago, we had a cold snap. Heaters went on, and I picked up my normal guitar, and it had a 10-inch crack all the way along the bottom, which is heartbreaking. And it happens because, wood is organic, and it expands and contracts in the cold and the warmth. And when it gets cold suddenly like that and you start using dry heat, especially radiator heat like y'all have up in New England, it can really, really do a number on the wood. So anyhow, my luthier suggests humidifier in the body of the guitar and keep your guitar in a hard case through the winter months.
Yeah. I'm an incredible geek when it comes to a lot of things, and I have Bluetooth trackers inside my case that tell me what the temperature and what the humidity is. And
that's cool.
I could talk about humidity for probably an hour, but we won't do that to the audience.
I'd like for you to tell me what that's called. Will you please email me that after the show?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a bunch of them, and I run around like a mad scientist all winter putting in certain amounts of distilled water And I know your luthier recommended the Humidipacks.
Yeah, which is like a gel-based thing that
Yeah.
like saps moisture from the air and then puts it back into the instrument.
They work great if you have a good case, but
I do have a good case.
I saw your case. Yeah, I know. I want to steal your case from you. I like. I'm left-handed, so I don't care about the guitar, but the case, those are very good cases. Well, what would you like to sing?
I'm going to start with a song called Got Away because it is a song from my newest record and serves as a nice vocal warm-up.
Perfect. Well, I will mute my microphone, and is all yours.
All right. 1, 2, 3. It's time to pay the bills again. Makes a woman feel like running. I keep a backpack by the door. You keep asking what that's for. Can't find a nice way to say you don't know who I am. I am. I am. You don't know who I am today. I'm the one that got away. Ah. Maybe I'll roll out at dawn. Headlights off, radio on. The open road will take me back. You'll move on, you always have. We've all got our own hands to play. You don't know who I am. I am. I am. You don't know who I am today. I'm the one that got away. Yeah. I got my father's fight, my mother's appetite. I travel pretty light these days. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know who I am. I am. I am. You don't know. You don't know who I am today. I'm the one that got away.
Yeah. That's off your newest album, right?
Yeah, that record's called Give Up Your Ghosts.
Yeah. Sounds great.
I'm gonna tune real quick for
Yeah,
another one.
Absolutely.
Well, I have exciting news that's not really about me, but my last couple of records were produced by a friend of mine named Will Robertson. I mean, I've known Will since 2004, and he's worked with me on records since then. He's produced almost every record I've made, and
Yeah.
he's played dozens, hundreds of live shows with me. I love him.
Cool. And you do them
And
in
through
Austin? or-
my record label, Blue Corn Music, that put out Give Up Your Ghosts, he met the record label head Denby, who was impressed with his work on that record, of course, and Denby hired him to mix a record for Ruthie Foster, her newest live album, which is called Ruthie Foster Big Band Live at the Paramount. recorded last year with a huge big band. Sounds amazing. Will mixed it. Sounds great. And it was nominated for a Grammy this week.
Wow.
Yeah, or was it last week that the nominations came out? So now my longtime collaborator, buddy, old pal of mine, the wonderful Will Robertson, is a Grammy-nominated mix engineer. I'm so excited for him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Do you record in Austin, or do you record somewhere else?
Let's see. We do a mix of Austin and Atlanta. For the last couple of records, we did basics at Church House Studios in Austin. Yep. And then I went to Atlanta, where he's from, to record the overdubs, which is like vocals and electric guitars, basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to mute my mic again.
Okay, then. Here, I'm going to actually play another song from that same record, because I've been digging this one lately. I wrote this with a friend of mine from the UK named Luke Jackson. One night we were driving late after a show and I was starting to get sleepy. So I made him get the guitar out in the front seat and play for me. And then he just started playing these chords and I started kind of humming, and next thing you know, we were writing a song and I was wide awake. This is a song about going home. I've been riding for hours now on my homebound train. Got a cold cup of coffee and a lot to explain. Late Louise, Late Louise. I was hungry and reckless. I was young and naive. I was seeking attention. You asked nothing of me. Lake Louise, Lake Louise. Can I walk on your I've been riding for hours now on my homebound train, waiting, waiting, waiting till they call out your name.
Yeah.
Thank
Is
you.
is it weird having one person clap for you and just stare and one person stare at you?
It's better than no people.
Aha. Do you have one more?
I think I'm going to play a song that actually has New England roots. I was
Ooh.
touring towards the end of 2016 with my friend Ellis Paul, and we played a show in New Hampshire at the Book and Bar in Portsmouth. And that night we were loading out of the gig, and it was Christmas time. So, the town square was covered in a beautiful fresh layer of snow, and there was, garlands up and Christmas lights, and it was lovely. And I was in a bad mood. It was late 2016. It had been a hard year for a number of reasons, and I was not in the mood for Christmas cheer, but it was everywhere. And I was standing out there, and I heard this ruckus on the other side of the square, and I was like, what's that? And the local was like, oh yeah, that's just the Santa party. I was like, come again? The Santa party? And he said, yeah, every year all the mall Santas get together on the Sunday before Christmas and just get shit-faced drunk. Sorry if I'm not supposed to swear on a Sunday morning. But I looked over, and sure enough, there was this tiny bar with 50, 100 Santas, all in Santa suits, big bellies, their beards all pushed to the side, just drunk and singing and and sharing stories about what it's like being a mall Santa, I guess. And I was looking at them and thinking well, you know what? If the sight of 75 drunk Santas doesn't get me in the holiday spirit, I'm not sure it's going to happen this year. I just don't know what it would take. So I just gave myself permission to just not be in the mood for it. And I realized that I think a lot of people probably feel that way. The holidays come whether you're ready for them or not. And you're not always in the mood to have a holly jolly Christmas, or to be part of the hustle and bustle and mandatory cheer. And I think that something that's beautiful about the season is that we try anyhow. And that's where the song came from. It's only weeks away. New Year's coming fast. They're writing resolutions, though we know they'll never last. Listen more, talk less, and joy to the world, I guess. Jimmy Stewart says he'll lasso the moon. The popcorn's almost done, we'll both be crying soon. Laugh more, fight less, and joy to the world, I guess. Happy whatever, marry you and I. Let's celebrate together tonight. Folks are getting drunk. Bite your tongue and smile. After Old Lang Syne, we won't see him for a while. So love more, ask less, and joy to the world, I guess. Happy whatever, marry you and I. Let's celebrate together tonight. Holidays are hard, missing those who've gone. They hide in snowy shadows in the moonlight on the lawn. Still we try our best to sing joy to the world, joy to the world, joy to the world, I guess. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne?
Wow, that's a beautiful song.
Thanks.
I
wrote
like
with my
that.
friend Findlay Napier.
Okay. Oh, so you didn't write it with Ellis. You just
No. I came up with the idea there on the square and carried it around with me for a few months, and then I was in Edinburgh on tour, and I have a friend there, Scottish songwriter named Findlay Napier. God, I'm getting everybody's home states wrong. Cities. He's from Glasgow. He has an album called Glasgow. He would be so mad at me if he knew I said he was from Edinburgh. But anyhow,
I'm gonna tag him in this show.
please don't. His other pet peeve is when Yanks, that's us, mispronounce Old Lang Syne as Old Lang Syne.
Yeah.
He says it's a bloody S, not a Z. There's no Z in Old Lang Syne. So that's your other public service announcement for the morning.
So are you considered a Yankee too, even though you're not from?
All Americans.
All Americans are
In
Yankees.
Scotland, all Americans are Yanks.
That's funny. Because I always thought it was just us Northerners.
Yeah, it's funny too because I grew up in D.C. and always, as a kid, associated with being like a Yankee Northerner, and then I realized it was below the Mason-Dixon line, and I was shook, as the kids would say.
That's amazing. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer because I'm very happy that you came on the show. But I have to ask you one more question. My girlfriend is making me ask this question because she saw your dog on Instagram, and she wants to know what kind of dog it is, and she wants one.
Okay, sure. Yes, she's a golden doodle. She's a precious little mutt, straight from heaven. Her name is Lola Clementine. And actually, Lola P. Clementine, the P is for Petrova, named after our favorite drag queen on RuPaul's Drag Race, Katya Petrova Zamolodchikova. Lola Petrova Clementine. She is half poodle, red poodle. That's her dad, is a 17-pound red poodle, and her mom was a 45-pound golden retriever poodle mix. Golden doodle. So she's like a second generation golden doodle. She is the cutest little dog I've ever seen. I love her so much. I've never owned a dog as an adult. We had dogs in my house growing up, but I never participated in the raising of a puppy. And it is way more emotionally involved than I thought it would be. Like, I love her so much. And I've only known her for 2 weeks. How is that possible?
Hey, was part of the family.
So if you want to come hang out with me and Lola, you can find her on my Instagram page. A lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
She's been looking.
Change.
She's been looking at the stories, and she's like, "Oh, what is that?" So that was the question I had to ask you.
Yeah, I get it. Well, Lola P. Clementine is an adorable little Muppet, and I love her so much.
And she's small, so you should, when we all can go back on the road again, you should be able to bring her on the road.
We are getting her used to road trips. We can't really go anywhere, but we're just driving her around in the car. And she'll be about 35 pounds, I think, 25 to 35 pounds when she's fully grown. But right now,
so she's not fully grown yet.
No, she's only 10 weeks old.
Oh, okay.
She's a little wee puppy. She's about to go through her teething terrorist phase.
Uh-oh.
So I've been told.
So you've been told, well...
They say there's a reason she's so cute now, it's so you don't kill her when she eats all your shoes.
Oh, no. Well, just put them up high. Put them on the... But then again, she probably can jump. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that you wanted to mention? I know not a lot of stuff's going on right now, but...
Well, I'm just so excited to get to have a chance to sing music for people. This has been so fun. I'm playing an online show on Wednesday the 9th on my YouTube channel. It's called 10 Songs and a Lie. So I'm going to be, this is my first show of this variety. I'm going to be playing 10 of my original songs and also telling stories all night about crazy things that have happened in my life and on the road. And one of those stories is going to be untrue. So at the end of the show, one listener is going to guess which story is the lie, and that the first person to get that correct is going to win fame, glory, and a bundle of my music in the mail. So
That's amazing.
I want people to tune into that on YouTube. It'll be streaming on Facebook, but in order to play the game, you have to be on YouTube.
Okay.
So you can find me at youtube.com/Rebecca Loebe and check out my videos about being a touring songwriter. And please, if you have any ideas, what you want to know about what it's like behind the scenes in the lives of indie musicians, leave me a comment, send me a message. I'm all ears. So that's what's going on with me right now.
That's great. I'll definitely tune into that. It sounds like fun. And, you know, maybe when we can get back out on the road again, maybe I can open a show for you and I can plug into your pedal board like you did with Martin. And then I can see what all the hubbub's about.
I will aspire to make it hubbub worthy before then.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Can we do a virtual cheers?
Yes. Clink.
Click. Oh, man. Rebecca Loebe, everybody. That was so much fun. Thank you for coming on, Rebecca. Thank you all for watching. Boy, I need more coffee. I went right through that cup here on Coffee with Todd. Hey, here's something I'm really bad about, asking for donations and selling my merchandise. I suck at that because I forget about it all the time. But the truth of the matter is, this show actually cost me money to do. So, I got a PayPal, I got a Venmo. I've got a few holiday gifts. I'm just going to show them to you real quick. You can get some bracelets made out of guitar strings that Danielle makes. We also have this cool little syrup package that comes with a CD of mine and pure Vermont maple syrup. And of course, we have official Coffee with Todd coffee mugs. I'm so glad I got to bring Rebecca on and to sing for you guys. Isn't she amazing? We're gonna once this pandemic is over, we'll get Rebecca to Vermont and welcome her with open arms. Do a little show. I'm gonna do one more song. We're gonna go get some breakfast because I'm hungry and full of coffee. It's a song for tomorrow morning. Well, I get up on Monday and I drag my ass to work. I like to punch more than the clock. My manager's a jerk. But I put the blinders on 'cause I've got bills to pay. And if I don't pay them, man, they'll take my car away. My father always tells me I should get a better job. He says I work too damn hard for what little that I've got. But it's hard to draft your resume while lacing up your boots. So I keep pressing on 'cause that's what people do. But it ain't so hard. It ain't so hard. If I'm coming home to you. My cousin, he quit drinking. He walks 12 steps a day. He's drinking coffee in church basements to keep the monkey away. Says it keeps him humble and he's thankful for what he's got. But since it's almost legal now, he ain't never quitting pot. And it ain't so hard. It ain't so hard. If I'm coming home. It's hard to comfort, and I don't mean to waste your time. But when I drag myself home, feeling useless and alone. You've got a way of making things alright. My brother, he's divorced now. His ex-wife has moved on. With all the joint bank accounts and his ex-best man Ron, he has a little apartment next to the town garage. He spends his nights on Tinder, but he swears it's Match.com, and it ain't so hard. It ain't so hard. If I'm coming home to you, no, it ain't so hard. It ain't so hard. If I'm coming home to you. Ain't so hard. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Coffee with Todd. Real quick, I'm going to do this again just in case you missed this from earlier in the show. But if you go out to Maple Hill Farms today, they're out on Maple Road. They're out past Maple Lane Nursing Home. I think that's Maple Road. Anyway, they've got some beautiful trees for you to select. Danielle and I went there yesterday and sat in that sleigh and picked one of those trees and cut it down and put it in the living room. We're going to be decorating it today. However, there's this little snowflake that looks like this hiding. Stop turning. Stop it. See that? It looks like this. It's hiding in one of the trees on the premises. And if you find the snowflake, you win some Vermont-made maple crumbles. Let me give you a hint as to where it was hidden, because she let me hide the snowflake. So here you go. Top secret. Okay, so we're here at Maple Hill Farm, and they have a snowflake that they hide in the tree. And if you find it, you win a cool prize. They've asked us to hide it. You ready to hide it? We gotta be careful though, because there are people around here, and we don't want them to know where we're hiding it. Ready? And I go, all right. See if you can find it at Maple Hill Farms. There you go. I'll give you a hint. It's in a tree. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching Coffee with Todd this morning. It's been an awesome morning. Thank you to my guest, Rebecca Loebe. I'm so glad I got to share her with you all. I hope you're having a wonderful cup of coffee, and I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you next week here on Coffee with Todd. Same bat time, same bat station. It's a good hint, yeah. All right, everybody. Oh, where's my sign? I got it right here. Be good to each other. It's the holiday season. It's time to be kind to one another. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you next time right here on Coffee with Todd. Love you guys. Thank you.